Not gonna waste any time, let's talk about Reality Collapse. If you're unfamiliar with this weapon, it drops from Gilgamesh at a 1 in 1,500 chance, and from Subal at a 1 in 100 chance. It used to act as a huge nuke, base totaling 1 million damage as it made a bright blast that kind of collapsed reality, with a global cooldown of 5 minutes. Not gonna lie, it sucked. But now it's been reworked, and I have to say my opinion of this weapon has completely changed around. Let's see the rework. So, initially we can see a pretty significant change. What used to be some weird glowing orb is now more of like a gauntlet. Description is the same. Reality as you know it would undergo a calamity as it slowly begins to collapse. So, this weapon has some pretty interesting mechanics. Let's talk about them. So, starting with the aggressive moveset, this is basically just your base reality collapse. It's one of the 3 major modes. So the way this works is it's a melee weapon, in this form at least, and when you press M1, you slash twice, dealing 15,000 damage, and then on your third slash, you do a jab that does twice that much. So this is with no extra stats buffing, swing speed, melee damage, nothing like that. You can just see that it slashes pretty decently. So you can see that this is without any melee buffs, nothing in swing speed or damage, and this is some pretty decent damage. I've already dealt 500,000. Very good M1 in my opinion. So the Z ability for this weapon is actually what swaps between the different movesets, which we will get to later. For now, we're going to move on to the X move, which is known as Reality Strike. This thrusts your character forward, dealing a decent amount of damage to anything in your way. 45,000 per tick, to be precise, and since I hit him once, I dealt 45,000 damage. The cooldown is 10 seconds for that move. Now, next is our C move, which is actually my favorite part of this weapon, which is just called Reality Collapse. Very, very creative naming. So, upon using this move, you will be thrusted forward, and the first enemy that you come in contact with during your thrust, you will lock on and deal a huge amount of damage on that specific entity. And for those that aren't anchored down into one spot, it has a really cool animation. Watch this. This move deals 300,000 damage at its base. Now obviously that can be increased with whatever accessories you're running alongside it. So that nuke has a 30-second cooldown, and considering it does 300,000 damage, that is a very, very good move. This is, in my opinion, a really strong weapon. I am excited to use this in the future. So moving on to the Z move, what this does is it will take you to another moveset. So for our next moveset, we have the Constructive moveset. Keep in mind we just came from the Aggressive moveset. Now this moveset is almost virtually the same, except with a few key differences. For one, you have this really neat rooted Gilgamesh green color instead of the natural orange color, and your moves are also going to do half their original damage. But the good news is that you get 4% lifesteal for every hit that you do. So although you're doing half the damage, you can get a lot of healing. Now unfortunately there is a cooldown on swapping these moves, so they can't be done super fast. But if you're in the middle of a fight and need to heal, you can just swap to this and lifesteal with all of your attacks. And of course the X move is going to be the same, just with a different color, and the C move is also gonna be the same. How did I miss that? Never mind. You know, that does actually bring me to another point. The biggest caveat to this weapon is probably the aiming. It doesn't follow your cursor, instead it just goes forward. So if you don't aim it right, then you can just completely miss, do no damage, and have to wait for the cooldown. So it does take a little bit of skill, which is something I'd actually admire. That's better than just tap key, instant damage, in my opinion. And finally, upon pressing Z one more time, we now have what is known as the Destructive moveset. This one is really cool. Firstly, you'll notice that your Reality Collapse now has a cool Subal skin, which I think is neat, and all of your attacks are going to be themed purple. Your damage is going to be the same as the first aggressive moveset, But the key difference is that this actually scales with your mage damage instead of your melee damage, which makes this a really versatile weapon, because if you're running a mage build, you can put this in your mage build, because, you know, it scales with mage things. So of course your X move is going to be the same, just purple magic instead of whatever color magic there is. But the key difference of this is the C move has actually completely changed. Instead of it being a targeted dash towards one individual, it's actually an AoE attack. It has a range of 100 studs, I believe, which is pretty large. Same cooldown, 30 seconds. But what it does is it will hit a lot of enemies in one range. And once again, it has a really cool animation. So while this will hit a lot of stuff in an area, you should note that it only did half the damage. Instead of 300,000, it did 150,000. And you should also note that there is a shared cooldown between the AoE C move and the targeted C move, which means that you cannot use them in succession to get more damage, which isn't a problem because this is still a goated weapon. So that's basically it for all of the moves. In general, I think this is a really cool rework. This is easily one of my favorite weapons in the entire game. And of course, with it being so powerful, it's also extremely hard to get. If you're grinding for this, all I'm going to tell you is good luck. I only have this weapon because I'd found it on accident trying to get arbitration a long time ago. It wasn't fun at the time, but I guess it's paying off now. I don't know the implications of this, but when you use the X move, it does dash you forward pretty far. So this could probably, in some cases, be used for mobility. Like if you need to escape a situation once and then hit everything on your way, you can just dash out of the way. So there's that to think about. So for the final part of this showcase, I put together a small melee build. I'm sure there's much better that can be done, probably using Glass Spirit, but just for the sake of this, I use some simple accessories just to show what higher level of damage this can do. So let me demonstrate this. This is the M1 damage if you use some accessories. It racks up damage pretty fast, actually. And here's the C move. So that's about 2 million damage right there. Honestly, a very good rework in my opinion. I don't really have any complaints at all. Balanced Craftwars Overhaul. Very good job. A lot of the names and information I got for this video were pulled from the official Balanced Craftwars wiki. Very good website, plenty of information, tested, updates very fast. I will have a link to the wiki in the description for any help you might need. And also just to see further information about this weapon, I'll have a link for that as well. If you have any questions or if there's anything you want to add, ask me in the comments and I'll do my best to answer. I probably will. And yeah, that's basically it. I'm gonna go kill some stuff with this now. Okay, this has nothing to do with what I'm trying to prove in this video, but I need to go kill Knacker. This is crazy. Tempest Leviathan. I mean, come on. I think I want to fight a Tempest Leviathan. That is crazy.